to wire these two things up and see something on the screen, in main, we need to execute some code which takes our widget here and draws it to the screen. And for that, there is another function provided by Material Dart, and that is called run app. Now, run app is a normal function, but not written by us, but written by the Flutter team and exposed in that material.dart file. So as you can probably tell, importing that material.dart file unlocks a lot of core features which we need to build an app. Now, run app does what the name suggests. It basically runs our Flutter app once the Android app booted up, or the iOS app, whatever it is. And that simply means it now tries to take our widget tree and draw something onto the screen that's based on that tree. So here it would draw that text here onto the screen. For that, however, we need to tell run app what our core widget is. And that's our my app widget, of course. So here we pass my app, and we execute this like a function by adding parentheses. That is important. Don't forget these parentheses. Otherwise, you would use it as a type, but this does not need a type, but a concrete object, and you instantiate the object based on a class by adding parentheses. That's also what we did here when we created our persons, right? Now, run app does just that. It runs the app, takes our widgets, and runs that. To be precise, what it does with our widget is, of course, it creates that. We're calling the constructor after all, so such a widget object is getting created. And then run app does take this object, which we pass to it in the end here, which we pass as an argument to run app. We pass the finished object, the finished widget object here after all, by calling the constructor. Run app takes that and calls the build method for us. That's in the end what it does. And that's how build gets triggered here for the first time, and how this, construction of our app then continues, and how something gets rendered onto the screen. And therefore, if we now save that file and we go to debug and again start this without debugging, we should now be able to bring this back onto the emulator and see a very basic and ugly application there, which somewhere outputs hello. And as you can also tell, therefore, is that we basically only care about the user interface and what we see there. And that's the cool thing. We don't have to care about rendering individual pixels or managing the life cycle of the app, starting it up and listening to events on the home screen of our Android device. We do none of that. What we do here is we control what ends up on the screen. So now this is getting built into an APK file here for my Android emulator. Once it's done, it launches up and we see this. Now, this is the expected result. We haven't defined any styling. We haven't defined anything that will lead to something more beautiful being rendered. But we see hello here. And that therefore proves that this basic code works, that we created our own widget class, which is a normal class with some extra features provided by a stateless widget, and that this was accepted by the main function to run our app with the help of, well, run app.